Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Simon Bronitt. I'm the Dean and Head of Sydney Law School, and it really is my pleasure tonight to welcome you to our prize-giving award ceremony for this year. It is wonderful to be able to do this in person. Last year, we had to do our event entirely online, hoping that our students who were receiving the awards were Zooming in. It was at the beginning of what we could never have anticipated was an extraordinary year in which not only did we have to pivot online, Zoom became Zooming in, came a part of our vernacular, but most sadly, I think for students, they were unable to celebrate their graduation in person. That all changes, and tomorrow I'm delighted that I'll be the presenting dean for degrees in the law school at the Great Hall tomorrow. So in some senses, while we are of course practicing high levels of COVID awareness, it is in some senses back to normal. First, I would like to invite one of our students, Nathan Allen. Nathan is a JD, a Juris Doctor student in his 4th year, and he will do an acknowledgement of country. He is our First Nations student rep of our student society, SULS, Sydney University Law Society, Law Student Society. So I'll hand over to Nathan. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Welcome, everyone. Just prior to starting the Foundations Law course, a group of us First Nations students were given a tour at the university by an Aboriginal elder who taught us a bit about the university's history and its connection with Aboriginal people and the land on which the university is now built. One thing he pointed out to us was that many Indigenous cultures around the world, the highest ground was often the sacred ground. It was used for ceremony, meetings and learning, and this can be seen here. Where the Great Hall and where the quadrangle is, was the highest ground for the Gadigal. You could look towards the east towards the coastal waters, or you could look back to the west towards the Darug and Wongal lands. And it's with these images and these histories of the original owners that I thought of as I walked past the quad each day and around the Great Hall. I hope this picture may add another layer to the memories of this place as you move forward onto the next stage of your careers and your education. And with that in mind, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we're meeting upon here tonight, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I would like to pay my respects to their elders, past and present. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. I too would like to pay my respects to the Gadigal and First Nations people of Australia and more broadly. And when I give public lectures and speeches, I usually offer a greeting in Gadigal language. Yuni Galawagan Mari Paduri Gadi Nurada, which means in Gadigal language, we meet together on the beautiful land of the Gadigal, the people of the Gadi. And if you don't know what the Gadi are, I'm so delighted to say that this year we constructed outside there, as you leave the lecture theatre, you'll be able to see a beautiful Indigenous garden. And the Gadi are the amazing trees with the spiky crown and the spear that runs through it. Those 3 trees are estimated to be 130 years old, which isn't an accident because our law school last year commemorated its 130th anniversary. So we acknowledge that law and justice has been done on this land long before the British arrived in 1788, and certainly as a settler myself from Britain 30 years ago, I acknowledge the continuity of Indigenous law, custom and possession of the lands upon which we learn and think about law and justice. Tonight, of course, is about our wonderful students and their achievements. And as I say in the program, not every student wins a prize, but the ones here today, and there are some that are zooming in, are being acknowledged for academic excellence. I should say I never won a prize at law school, and I'm sure many of my colleagues similarly didn't win prizes at law school. But as a teacher, I take great pride in my students' learning and their achievements, but especially when they top the unit and go on to do amazing things, as so many of our brilliant students do. I'd also like to, as I say in the program, it's also about acknowledging our donors, the generosity through the generations of alumni of this institution. What is extraordinary to me as a relatively new dean, it's 2 years since I became the dean, just how long-standing that connection is. And the alumni of Sydney Law School are an amazing network that continue to support in so many ways and inspire the next generation of brilliant legal minds that pass through this law school. So I'd like to acknowledge the donors, especially those that are here tonight. But I would also like to acknowledge the families, because we all know, and I have a son in 4th year doing law, not in this law school, but at ANU. And I know that doing a law degree is never an easy thing. It's hard work. And of course, within every family, there is a cheer squad, and we have the cheer squad here tonight to celebrate and recognise all of those long nights, balancing all the responsibilities and work that students have to engage in these days. So I think I'd like to also acknowledge the family and friends that are here tonight to support, and I think that deserves a round of applause. So moving on to our speaker tonight, the Honourable Justice Francois Kuntz. Justice Kuntz is an alumni of this law school, a proud alumni. He is also a Supreme Court Justice of the New South Wales Supreme Court, and he sits in the Equity Division. He was appointed to that role in April 2013. After graduating with degrees in arts and law from the University of Sydney, he practiced as a solicitor with Allen Hemsley from 1986. He was called to the bar in 1992 and appointed senior counsel in 2007. In terms of his academic and scholarly activities, Justice Kuntz is a fellow of the Australian Academy of Law. In his spare time, he is the general editor of the Australian Law Journal, one of the oldest law journals in our discipline in Australia, and a member of the editorial board of the Journal of Equity. In 2020, his honour was conferred with the degree of Master of Laws by Duke University, the first Australian judge admitted to a postgraduate study program at the university's prestigious Balch Judicial Institute. Justice Kuntz also has an extensive array of activities in the wider community. He has a great love for arts and opera, and I think, like many lawyers, I think you could say, has a repressed creative gene that from time to time does emerge. He is currently director of the Opera Australia Capital Fund and holds various board positions in the Catholic Church in Australia. And in 2016, Pope Francis recognised his honour as a Knight Commander in the Order of St. Gregory the Great for services to the Catholic Church. So I'll invite Justice Kuntz to the podium. Thank you.
Professor Bronitt, members of the Faculty of Law, students, ladies and gentlemen. May I begin by expressing my support for the Uluru Statement from the Heart and my solidarity with all those people, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, who continue to work for its implementation. Thank you for your kind introduction and taking the risk that is present in this happy occasion of doing this live. That has at least for those of you who are here, it means you can't mute me. I will understand, however, if you feel the need to close your eyes. I was honoured and surprised in equal measure by Professor Bronitt's invitation to speak to you this evening. Honoured because it's a small and inadequate way of paying back the debt I owe to this law school for the legal education I received here, with my first year at this university being, I was frightened to work out when I wrote this 40 years ago. Surprised because you'll come to know that the law can be very hierarchical. A judge's commission specifies after whom the new judge takes rank and precedence, and everything from judicial processions to the supply of pens, paper and other stationery happens in the court by seniority. I can only assume that Professor Bronitt had the misfortune of discovering that each of the 35 judges of the court who rank ahead of me had prior engagements this evening. So needs must, and I will do the best I can for you. I very much doubt that any of you keeps something called a commonplace book. They are no longer very common. They were popular for hundreds of years in the literate West as a book into which people would copy quotes that struck them as important or uplifting. I don't think there is any great or uplifting overarching theme in what I will say tonight. Instead, I will offer some diversions, reminiscences, and commonplace observations that I hope you will find of interest, at least for the 15 minutes I've been allotted. But before I get on with that, my most important task this evening is to congratulate each and every one of you who has been awarded a prize. To win a prize at this distinguished law school, one can even say elite, and why not, as my old headmaster used to say, the opposite of elite is mediocre, is a signal achievement which implies that natural talent has been combined with good teaching and a lot of hard work to bring about an outstanding result. So well done to each of you. However, your success that we honour this evening invites at least 3 further observations. First, success is rarely achieved alone. And I will reiterate the comment that Simon made, that I imagine that for most of you, there are family, partners and friends who have helped and encouraged you. And again, on your behalf, I'd like to acknowledge them and hope that you will take the chance to thank them if you haven't done so already. Second, each of you will have your own story, and it is an unusual and fortunate person who achieves anything without overcoming challenges. Each of you has met the challenges of learning in the year of COVID. I have 2 children at university, so I've seen firsthand what it takes to accommodate isolation and online learning. However, I particularly want to recognise those of you who have overcome other obstacles. Perhaps you're the first member of your family to come to university. Maybe you've had to work 2 or 3 jobs to support yourself and others. There are likely to be among you parents and carers with responsibilities to children, siblings or parents. I expect that there will be those of you who've come to university by different paths. For example, 3 people I've interviewed to be my tip staff over the years, including the successful applicant for next year, never finished high school, but left law school with first-class honours degrees. So whatever your particular circumstances, only you will know who you are, but a special well done to you. Third, I mentioned good teaching a moment ago. Again, on your behalf, I would like to thank and acknowledge your teachers, many of whom are present this evening. Lawyers make the law, but they are formed by their teachers. Your teachers too have had to pivot, to use that terrible word of the moment, to meet the challenges of what might be called pandemic pedagogy. You are the beneficiaries of an outstanding intellectual community that, in the tradition of the great universities, requires dedication to both scholarship and teaching. This brings me to my little diversion into the subject of law teachers. Law teaching has undergone many changes over the years, not least in this university. Indeed, for its first 30 years or so, the role of the University of Sydney Law School was to run examinations for admission to the profession rather than actually to teach law. There was some teaching from the earliest times. In 1858, the Senate of this university appointed the English barrister John Fletcher Hargrave, father of Lawrence Hargrave of early Australian aviation fame, as reader in general jurisprudence. Hargrave gave what was probably the first law lecture in Sydney in that year. He was a controversial figure. Now, you've all probably been told that you will, in this day and age, have several careers over your lifetime. That is nothing new. At various times, but I hasten to add not simultaneously, Hargrave was a foundation judge of the District Court, a justice of the Supreme Court, a member of both the Legislative Assembly and the Legislative Council, Attorney General and Solicitor General. His friends acknowledged him to be eccentric, but others have referred to him as unhinged of mind and a woman hater. This last was said to stem from the fact that before they came to Australia, his wife had him committed to a mental asylum, an incarceration he successfully challenged. The Honourable Keith Mason, ACQC, has with some justification described Hargrave's appointment as the Supreme Court's first matrimonial causes and divorce judge as most curious, if not inadvisable, inappropriate, and even misogynistic. Let me change eras and continents. Professor Charles Kingsfield was the imposing, if not terrifying, law professor created by John J. Osborne Jr. in his 1970 novel, The Paper Chase, a Bildungsroman based on the author's experiences as a student at Harvard Law School. It became a successful TV series and movie, and if you haven't seen the movie with John Houseman in the leading role, I commend it to you. It's a great film. Professor Kingsfield, the fictional character, is almost certainly based on a legendary Harvard law professor in the first half of the 20th century, Edward H. Warren. Warren could not be further in style and character from Hargrave. His approach is best summed up in the title of his book and memoirs, a book of memoirs and teaching advice. The title of his book is Spartan Education. It includes chapters such as effective teaching methods and effective juristic style. Warren's advice includes this: the main thing is the training of students so that they may be enabled to become accurate, clear, and terse in their statement of facts and issues, and sensible in their exercise of judgment. It is wise not to try to do more for first-year students than to be accurate, clear, terse, and sensible. I'm not sure that ambition should be confined just to first-year students. Judgments that ticked each of those boxes would be no bad thing. In his chapter on effective juristic style, he deplores, and I quote, the literary style or lack of literary style of many judges, professors of law, and editors of and contributors to law reviews, and puts sloppy thinking as first in the sources of this trouble. As a judge, and as Simon has said, the editor of a law journal, I strive to avoid that cardinal sin, and to the extent I succeed, I acknowledge my debt to my teachers at this law school. When I was a law student, I do not recall any teachers either quite as eccentric as Hargrave or as scarily method-driven as Warren. I have to say quite as eccentric because my late teacher and friend, the Honourable Roderick Pitt Marr, was certainly somewhere on that scale. Because the former practice was for law students to work in articles as they studied, something that was just ending as I started law school, the law school of my day was in Phillip Street across from the Supreme Court. Essays could still be submitted in handwriting, but by those who could not or would not use a typewriter. Please Google it if you don't know what a typewriter was. The regular lecture theatres were in the sub-basements, a bit like this actually, and entirely devoid of natural light. I doubt they would satisfy any of today's expectations to provide an environment which encourages good mental health. I assume the orange colour of the chairs is supposed to perform that effect in this theatre. Again, because of history and location, many of my teachers were practising barristers and solicitors in addition to the professional academics. I was, for example, one of those lucky enough to be taught equity and trusts by R.P. Marr and W.M.C. Gummow, both then barristers, and J.R.F. Lehane, with whom I later had the privilege of working as he was a partner in my future employer, Allen and Hemsley. However, all of them, be they practitioners or academics, taught me not only law, but gave me to understand that to practice law is to be a lifelong student, and they equipped me to do so. They all fulfilled Edward Warren's first rule of effective teaching: the giving of a substantial amount of reliable information and the training of minds of students are both important, but the instructor should lay about twice as much emphasis upon training as upon information. In my own commonplace book, and I do have one, I've recorded several quotes about the training of legal minds by the great American jurist and Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. In an 1886 lecture marking the 250th anniversary, so 1886, the 250th anniversary of Harvard University, and entitled "The Use of Law Schools," he observes this: "Nearly all the education which men can get from others is moral, not intellectual. The business of a law school is not sufficiently described when you merely say that it is to teach law or to make lawyers. It is to teach law in the grand manner and to make great lawyers. The aim of a law school should be not to make men smart, but to make them wise in their calling." Now, those of you who have seen the biopics about the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's time at Harvard Law School will understand why Holmes only refers to men. But we need to look past the gendered language to the enduring truth of the points he makes. They find their modern expression in Professor Bronitt's hashtag of inspiring legal minds, with its playful gerundive ambiguity of describing both the task and the product. Such minds certainly need to know the law, but they also need to be trained to be wise. The prizes with which you will be presented this evening suggest that you are well on the way. With that in mind, let me conclude with some commonplaces that might be of use as you continue the journey. It is reasonable to infer from your achievements so far that you will all find yourselves in some kind of position of leadership one day, whether of a team of 1 or 2 people, or of a large institution, firm, or business. While my remarks are directed to you as lawyers, I suggest they will be equally useful to those of you who apply your legal skills outside the law. There are many definitions of leadership. This is my own effort: the application of moral authority by example, encouragement, and empowerment. Those 3 E's are supported by 4 H's: humanity, history, humility, and humour. The Roman writer Terence wrote, "Homo sum humani nihil a me alienem puto." I am human, and I think nothing human is alien to me. The more you study humanity, the better lawyer you will be. So read widely, do lots of things outside the law, and have friends who aren't lawyers. That may be hard, I know, but it can be done. To offer just one example, the recently retired UK Supreme Court Justice Lord Jonathan Sumption left a career as a leading historian to become a lawyer, but he has always said he was a better lawyer for his time as a history don. That seamlessly brings me to my second H, history. May I encourage you to read history, especially legal history, but also beyond. If you haven't studied much legal history, then please at least have a look at our own Sir Victor Windear's lectures on legal history and the recently published collection of his papers and speeches. They will lead you on to more contemporary legal historians. The law is a good place to learn humility because someone is always marking or settling your work. As students, your teachers. As solicitors, the partner. As partners, counsel. As junior counsel, your leader. As a silk, the judge. As a puny judge, like me, the Court of Appeal. As an appellate judge, the High Court. And should any of you, as would be entirely possible, find your way onto the bench of the High Court of Australia, rest assured that legal academics will always be there to ensure that you cannot take refuge in US Supreme Court Justice Robert Jackson's famous aphorism, "We are not final because we are infallible, but we are infallible only because we are final." I have never met a law professor who believes in judicial infallibility. May I also respectfully suggest that you do not underestimate the legal skill and ability of those you work with and against who may not have attended this law school. Here is something for your next Sul's Trivia Night. What did Justice Robert Jackson, Nuremberg War Crimes Prosecutor, Solicitor General, Attorney General and United States Supreme Court Justice, Lord Patrick Devlin of the UK Court of Appeal, and Sir Owen Dixon and Michael McHugh of the High Court of Australia all have in common, other than that they were great judges who were not graduates of this university? The answer is that each of them either did not go to law school, or if they did not attain an honours degree. One of the best things about a career in the law is that it is a great leveller, where talent will out, whether you went to the best university or none. Which finally brings me to humour, no doubt to your great relief. Enjoy yourselves and don't take yourselves too seriously. A lot of funny things happen in a career in the law. Have a laugh, always at best at your expense and never at others. There is much truth in the proposition that there are, in fact, only 3 or 4 real lawyer jokes and that all the other stories are true. Most importantly, have fun tonight and take well-deserved pride in what you have done. I hope I will have the chance to follow more of your progress as you join a profession in which I have had the privilege to serve for 35 years, but sharing with each of you the good fortune of having attended the University of Sydney Law School. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Judge. I think you are the epitome of #inspiring legal minds. Not only did you inspire the students, but I think you are one. I look forward to seeing the written paper, and maybe with some footnotes we can publish it online. There you go. So look. With that, we turn now to the main event, which of course is the presentation of the prize winners. And to do that, I would like to introduce to the podium Associate Professor Jacqueline Mowbray, who is our Associate Dean, Indigenous Strategy and Services, to be the Master of Ceremonies, to be able to call the names of our most deserving prize winners. And with the judge, we will stand here on our marked spots, and as the students are called one by one, they will come up. They will have their, I should say, because of COVID, we will not be presenting the certificate. They have already been given their certificate, so hopefully they haven't lost it already. So then they will be able to join us for a photo opportunity. So I'll hand over now to Jacqueline. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simon. So I have this long and wonderful list of so many of your achievements, and congratulations to everyone here tonight and those who are joining online. I'm going to do my very best with pronouncing your names. So I will remember my admission as a solicitor, and my name is Mowbray, and the barrister moving my admission proudly asked the court if he could move the admission of Jacqueline Mowbray. And so I will know that sort of slight awkwardness when someone's struggling to pronounce your names. So I'll do my best, and I apologise deeply in advance for any mistakes that I might make. So first of all, we have Philippa Abbott, who is the winner of the Ross Waite Parsons Postgraduate Coursework Law Scholarship, and she's attending online. Did we clap for the online ones? Or, no? No clapping? We clap at the end. Okay, right. It's not a very auspicious beginning. All right. Then we have Anne Ashey receiving the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too, and she is also on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Also online, Ciara Alcock, who's receiving the Pitt Cobbett Prize for International Law and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too. And then we have Lucinda Anderson, who's receiving the C.A. Coghlan and A.N. Littlejohn Scholarship for the Juris Doctor. And Freya Applefoot is receiving the Margaret Ethel Peden Prize in Real Property and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too. Rahul Arora receiving the Justice Peter Healy Scholarship. John Patrick Asimakis receiving the Peter Cameron Sydney Oxford Scholarship. He's online. We have Andreas Boentarin receiving the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too, and he's also on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Tian Boone receiving the Ross Waite Parsons Postgraduate Law Scholarship, online. Madeline Bosler, the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too. Thomas Buchler, receiving the Greenwoods and Herbert Smith Freehills Jeff Sharp Prize. Yi Ning Kao, receiving the Law Society of New South Wales Prize for Law, Lawyers and Justice. The Margaret Dalrymple Hay Prize for Law, Lawyers and Justice. The Walter Reed Memorial Prize too, and she is also on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Christine Capolino, receiving the Harmer's Workplace Lawyers Prize for Labour Law, the Sir Alexander Beattie Prize in Industrial Law, the Sybil Morrison Prize for Jurisprudence Part 2, and also on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Sarah Charak, receiving the Pitt Cobbett Prize for Administrative Law and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Denny Chen, receiving the Ashurst Prize in Advanced Taxation Law. Christopher Cham, receiving the Judge Samuel Redshaw Prize for Administrative Law. Nicholas Chivers, receiving the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too. Anna Selak on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Shannon Cochrane, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Jasmine Crittenden, receiving the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2 and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Caitlin Crowe, receiving the Alan Bishop Scholarship. Benjamin Dakovich, receiving the Pitt Cobbett Prize for International Law and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too. Koda Danu Asmara, the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too. Misha Davenport, receiving the Peter Patterson Prize and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Thomas Dews, receiving the Sir Peter Hayden Prize for the Best Undergraduate Contribution in Constitutional, Administrative or International Law. Alexander Georgievich, receiving the Ross Waite Parsons Postgraduate Coursework Law Scholarship. George Ferrugia, receiving the Nancy Gordon Smith Prize for Honours at Graduation. Eliza Fogel, receiving the J.H. McClemens Memorial Prize No. 1 in Criminology and the Tu Fu and Ruby Lee Memorial Prize in Criminology. Laylee Friedlander, receiving the John O'Brien Memorial Coursework Scholarships in Criminal Law and Criminology. Coco Froelich, receiving the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too. William Greenland, receiving the E.M. Mitchell Prize for Contracts, the Herbert Smith Freehills Prize in Contracts, and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too. Bridget Hackett, receiving the Pitt Cobbett Prize for International Law and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too. Anina Hammer, receiving the Fiona Gardner Hill Prize in Corporate Law and the Nancy Gordon Smith Postgraduate Prize for LLM by Coursework. Kimberly Hamilton, receiving the Walter Reed Memorial Prize too. Yu Han, receiving the George and Matilda Harris Scholarship number 2A, Pitt Cobbett Prize for Administrative Law, the Tomonari Akaha Memorial Prize, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2, and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Mina Hanna, receiving the Ross Waite Parsons Postgraduate Coursework Law Scholarship, Claudia Harper, the Ivan Roberts Scholarship, Nicholas Healy, receiving the Australian Insurance Law Association Prize for Insurance Law and Risk, and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Claire Ho, receiving the King and Wood Mallisons Prize in Banking and Financial Instruments. Harriet Hollowell, the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Isabel Holthouse, receiving the Caroline Munro Gibbs Prize for Torts, the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Llewellyn Horgan, the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Stephanie Howes, the Roy Frederick Turner AM Scholarship. Hannah James, the University of Sydney Law School Dean's Scholarship. Thomas Jenkins, the Wigram Allen Scholarship for Juris Doctor. Alexander Kiefer, the C.A. Hardwick Prize in Constitutional Law and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Eugenia Kim, the Roy Frederick Turner AM Scholarship. Matthew King, the Ivan Roberts Scholarship. Byron Knight, the Alan Ayling Prize in Environmental Law. Swagota Kotoki, Julian Small Research Scholarship in Labour Law. Nurses Kurutsuk, Longworth Scholarship for the Juris Doctor. Grant Kynaston, the Margaret Ethel Peden Prize in Real Property, the Playfair Prize in Migration Law and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Matilda Langford, receiving the Victoria Gollan Memorial Fund Scholarship. Mimi Lee, receiving the Harmer's Workplace Lawyers Prize for Labour Law and the Sir Alexander Beattie Prize in Industrial Law. Sung Yu Lee, receiving the Julius Stone Prize in Sociological Jurisprudence. Louisa Lem, receiving the E.D. Roper Memorial Prize No. 1 for Equity and Corporations Law, the John Geddes Prize for Equity and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Nikki Liang, receiving the Ashurst Prize in Environmental Law, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2, and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Amanda Liem, the Angel Akira Kawamura Prize in Japanese Law. Ren Lim, the Harmer's Workplace Lawyers Prize for Anti-Discrimination Law. Julie Litva, the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Wen Kai Liu, Nancy Gordon Smith Prize for Honours at Graduation. Brendan Ma, the Nancy Gordon Smith Prize for Honours at Graduation and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Alexander McIntyre, the David Burnett Memorial Scholarship in Social Justice. Patrick McGee. I'll just wait for a minute. Oh, Patrick McGee. Patrick McGee. Almost. Patrick McGee, yes, I read that one today. Walter Reed 2, Dean's Award. Olivia Malley, the E.D. Roper Memorial Prize number 2 for Equity and Corporations Law. Max Marchioni, the Walter Ernest Savage Prize for Foundations of Law and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Eileen Martinson, the G.W. Hyman Memorial Prize in Labour Law. Bronte McAlpin, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2 and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Emily McLennan, Harmer's Workplace Lawyers Prize for Anti-Discrimination Law. Natalia Melville, University of Sydney Foundation Prize for Australian International Taxation. Arian Mosani, George and Matilda Harris Scholarship number 2B for the 3rd year of Combined Law and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Lachlan Muir, the Edward and Emily McWhinney Prize in International Law, George and Matilda Harris Scholarship number 2B for 3rd year of Combined Law and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. George Napier, the Ross Waite Parsons Postgraduate Coursework Law Scholarship. Lucy Nason, the Ian Joy Prize in Law and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Samuel Naylor, the Andrew M. Clayton Memorial Prize from Clayton Utes, E.D. Roper Memorial Prize number 2 for Equity and Corporations Law, the Edward John Cooley Prize for Proficiency in Real Property and Equity, the George and Matilda Harris Scholarship number 1 for 2nd year, the C.A. Hardwick Prize in Constitutional Law, the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2, and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Indeed. Andrew Nestia, the University of Sydney Law School Dean's Scholarship. Matthew Newcomb, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Ha Fong Nguyen, the Marjorie O'Brien Prize. Nikki Nguyen, David Stewart Hicks Scholarship. Darcy O'Leary, Roy Frederick Turner Scholarship. Kieran O'Sullivan, the David Burnett Memorial Scholarship in Social Justice. Mia Parks Talbot, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Lachlan Pickering, Caroline Munro Gibbs Prize for Torts, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2, and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Hannah Place, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Michael Punch, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Daniel Reed, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Oh, sorry. Georgia Reed, Ivan Roberts Scholarship, John George Daly Prize number 1B, the Julius Enrica Stone Award in International Law and Jurisprudence, and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Olivia Ronan, Ross Waite Parsons Postgraduate Coursework Law Scholarship, Merle Rund, the Monaghan Prize for Evidence and Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Patrick Ryan, the Aaron Levine Prize for Criminal Law and Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Siddharth Sehgal, the John George Daly Prize number 1A and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Caitlin Shelks, the Julius Enrica Stone Award in International Law and Jurisprudence. Dale Scutts, Mr. Justice Stanley Viertus Memorial Prize for Family Law. Samuel Shaw, the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Rohan Simpson, the David Burnett Memorial Scholarship in Social Justice and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Shannon Sokran, the Pitt Cobbett Prize for Constitutional Law. Jane Spencer, the Zoe Hall Memorial Scholarship. Damien Spinks, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. David Stano, the C.A. Coughlin and A.N. Littlejohn Scholarship for the Juris Doctor. Yang Jije Sun, the Tomonari Akaha Memorial Prize, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Codley Swadling, the C.A. Hardwick Prize in Constitutional Law and the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Trevor Tan, King and Wood Mallison's Prize in Banking and Financial Instruments. Khalida Tang, the Thomas P. Flattery Prize for Roman Law and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Emma Tirabosco, the Ashurst Prize in Australian Income Tax and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Erica Tse, the Ross Waite Parsons Postgraduate Coursework Law Scholarship. Nathan Twibill, Edward and Emily McWhinney Prize in International Law, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Connor Uche, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Juliet Van Rattingen, the Gustav and Emma Bondi Postgraduate Prize. Claire Veal, the Wigram Allen Scholarship for Juris Doctor. Callum Vitali Smith, the John Warwick McCluskey Memorial Prize, the Paul Byrne SC Memorial Prize for Advanced Criminal Law, and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Adam Waldman, the Ivan Roberts Scholarship. Adelaide Wallace, the Rose Scott Prize for Proficiency at Graduation by a Woman Candidate, and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Mia Walsh, the Victoria Golan Memorial Fund Scholarship. Angelique Warner, the Judge J. Pedrio Prize number 1. Christine Way, the David Burnett Memorial Scholarship in Social Justice. Deborah White, the J.H. McClemens Memorial Prize number 2 in Criminology. Alexander White, the Keith Steele Memorial Prize. Bernard Wong, the Law Press Asia Prize for Chinese Legal Studies number 2. Pei Junjie, the Law Press Asia Prize for Chinese Legal Studies #1. Fuguo Xue, Bruce Panton McFarlane Prize. Gordon Yen, Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2 and on the 2020 Dean's List of Excellence for Academic Performance. Xiaocheng Zhang, the Tomonari Akaha Memorial Prize, the Walter Reed Memorial Prize 2. Alan Zheng, the Zoe Hall Memorial Scholarship. And I'd now like to acknowledge all those who are on the Dean's 2020 List of Excellence for Academic Performance. And I think that there's another slide with the names. Yes, so congratulations to all of these. And it's now my very great honour to introduce our 2 University Medalists, Olivia Norris and Haiqiu Zhu. So we'll have each of them come up in turn and then they will have their photo together and then they will collectively give us the address. So first of all, Olivia Morris. Olivia is also receiving the Joy Prize in Law, the Nancy Gordon Smith Prize for Honours at Graduation, and the R.G. Henderson Memorial Prize from the New South Wales Bar Association. Then we have Haiqiu Zhu, who is also receiving the Joy Prize in Law, the Nancy Gordon Smith Prize, and the Sir Dudley Williams Prize. So I think they were both going to have a photo together. Both, maybe? I'm looking around. Let's do both. And one more. And I'd now like to invite our medalists to address everybody.
I acknowledge that we are here today on the land of the Gadigal people and pay our respects to their elders past and present.
Dean Bronitt, Justice Kuntz, academics, fellow prize winners and their guests, Mum and Dad.
Mum, little brother and dad from afar, thank you for being here tonight to celebrate our collective achievements. And I wish to extend my congratulations to all of the prize winners here tonight.
Haiqiu and I only had the pleasure of getting to know each other in our last year of law school, where we both had the good fortune to have Jamie as our honours supervisor. I'm thrilled to be sharing this award with her tonight, and I look forward to following her achievements in the years to come, should I say, which I have no doubt will be considerable.
Thanks, Liv. I feel incredibly honoured to be standing here today as a recipient of the University Medal. It's the same honour that's been bestowed upon people that I have long held in high regard as legends of the legal world. Never did I think that I would one day stand here too. Now, those who are close to me know that I am a meticulous planner. I get anxious if I don't have the next 5 years of my life planned to the perfect hour. My family have been subjected to the tyranny of my travel itineraries, where I'll set out every single step in every day, right down to the precise minute we need to leave the hotel in order to catch the precise train that will get us to the ticket gates precisely 10 minutes before they open, just so we're first in line. Now, given all of that, I must confess, law was never the plan. From the age of 5, I was dead set certain I would be a doctor. Surgeon, obviously. Maybe cardiology, maybe neurology, but that was something I could figure out in med school. And so I progressed through kindergarten, through primary school, and through almost all of high school, until one day in year 10 I realised I'm actually not that great with blood. So that put an end to the medicine plan. Plan B, law. Kind of made sense. Law involves a lot of reading, and I've always loved reading, fiction. Law involves advocacy and problem solving, and I love being right. And so it was that I came to the hallowed sandstone halls of Sydney Law School. And from there, it was like it all had been planned. I found myself in my first Foundies lecture, drinking up every word that Cameron Stewart said about obiter dicta and stare decisis. Barbara McDonald about silver foxes and snails and bottles. Greg Tolhurst about carboxylic smoke bores. Sheila McCracken about widgets and the wondrous delights of the PPSA. I'd also hoped to learn about the fusion fallacy and the Lord Chancellor's foot size from Jamie Glister in my 4th year, but he upset that plan by going to Cambridge. Thankfully, he decided to return a year later, just in time to supervise my honours thesis. And how grateful I am for that. Thank you, Jamie, for all of your help and support through what has been a far from typical year. Thank you to all of the wonderful teachers who have taught me at my time at Sydney Law School and who have fostered my love of law. Thank you to my family and to my friends for always supporting me and tolerating my pedantry, or as my mum calls it, my love of arguing. And thank you to Liv for being a shining example of exactly what women can achieve in law. Without delving too deeply into the details, this past year has given us cause to reflect on the place that women have in the legal society. For that reason, I'm even more proud to be here tonight sharing this award with Liv. 2 girls who wrote their honours thesis in equity, proving that every day as law students and as lawyers, we are making our way to equality.
So I promised myself I would not use this speech to venerate nerdy law school things, but it will quickly become apparent that I have failed. All my peers here tonight will be familiar with IRAC, a framework for structuring legal analysis. It stands for Issue, Rule, Application, and Conclusion. As I've been effectively brainwashed by usage critical thinking techniques, it would be remiss of me not to demonstrate this skill. So let's begin with I for issue, this speech. Like any good law student, I approach this issue by tracking down notes from former medalists. For once, this was unhelpful. Moving on to R for rule. Discuss all the applicable themes. The devoted academics, the brilliant cohort, weird souls lections, weird clerkship presentations, 100% finals, unlimited funny and fascinating conversations, not only in tutorials and lecture halls, but all the moments in between. And obviously, a vast amount of complaining, which I will admit, since usage has, as usual, imposed an unrealistic word/time limit. So moving on to A for application. I was shocked to hear that I'd won the medal. I've struggled with self-belief throughout my university career. This self-doubt was inevitably heightened by the fiercely competitive environment and the often disconcerting bravado and hubris that swirls around these lecture halls. I know that I'm not alone in harboring insecurity. Imposter syndrome at Sydney Law is rife, but I verily believe that a large and important part of why I'm here tonight has to do with this mindset. In my case, it motivated me to work harder, to ask more questions, and to constantly reevaluate my own thinking. Indeed, I've grown out of that insecure law student and into an insecure lawyer, but at least one who better appreciates her own value. And in large part, I owe this change to the law itself and the many talented academics here tonight who taught it to me. Because to understand law is to be empowered. I will always retain distinct memories of Professor Crosley's torts lectures that veered into life coaching, Professor Gerangelos's famous FedCon performances, and Professor Glister's entertaining equity tutorials, which have sparked profound interest for me in the subject area that I expect to explore for years to come. Thank you, Jamie, for all your guidance and patience, and please continue to answer my emails. Much of the reason why I'm here tonight also has to do with my parents. Words cannot express how grateful I am to them, so I have decided not to venture to try. And it's time to finish with C for conclusion. This degree gives you with a critical way of thinking for life. It has left me with fantastic friends, an ingrained ability to work very hard, and a sincere love for the law. It has also taught me that resilience is often more critical to success than one's natural gifts. I feel very privileged to have completed my law degree at Sydney, an achievement that offers a gateway into a powerful and respected profession that is, in so many ways, responsible for social change. I'm acutely aware that this is a privilege that one cannot squander, the ability to enter a worthwhile career and empower others. Whilst I am not entirely sure where my future lies, I hope to be doing just that.
Thank you, Haiqiu, and thank you, Olivia. I think it's appropriate. I hadn't planned to mention Ada Evans, but I think I will. Last week, we commemorated the admission, 100 years from the admission to the bar of Ada Evans, who was the first law graduate, female law graduate in Australia, and turn of the 20th century. She was the first in Australia, a trailblazer, but she encountered such discrimination that for 17 years, each year she would seek admission to the bar and be told that she wasn't eligible, even though she'd met the requirements by having a law degree from this law school. And I think if Ada was here, she'd be so proud that our two university medalists are women, and strong women, and inspiring women of law and of this law school. So I think it's incredibly wonderful and inspiring to hear from both our medalists, deserving in every way. And to thank them for acknowledging their teachers who also have been inspiring along the way. So look, it just really leaves me to say thank you for joining us online as well as here, to invite you to the reception that will commence immediately outside, but also to encourage the award winners not to leave, because we have the tradition of taking a photo, a group photo, with the Dean and with our distinguished guests. So please, if you can stay behind, but to the friends and family, please, and colleagues, you're most welcome to exit to enjoy the reception outside. And I'd just like to thank everyone. We have many volunteers, including students, that have devoted their time freely to make this such a wonderful evening. So I'd like to acknowledge Simran and Carla and other colleagues. So thank you very much. I think we give them a... And our tech guy, Andy, on the side there for improvisation when the technology fails us, as we know. So look, thank you very much, and I wish you have a good evening. So thank you.